be angle 0, and then we're going to rotate in this counterclockwise direction. If we get halfway around the circle, that's 180. And remember, 180 equals pi. Full rotation is, the circumference is 2 pi times r, but r is 1. So then full rotation is 2 pi, and that's where we get this value of 2 pi. Now, we have then what we call identity angles that we want to familiarize ourselves with. So if we go straight across, we know that's pi because that's half of a rotation. Half of a half is a quarter. So therefore, if I took this pi and cut it in half, I would have pi over 2, because pi divided by 2 is pi over 2. So then that means that when we jump 90 degrees, that's a pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, which equals pi. This is, one more is going to be 3 pi over 2. And then one more is going to be 4 pi over 2, but that reduces to 2 pi. So we'll know our right angles by referencing pi over 2 as one 90-degree angle. The second one would be 2 of them. That's pi over 2 times 2. The third one is pi over 2 times 3. The fourth one is pi over 2 times 4. So then there are some other angles that we want to keep in mind. One of those is pi over 6. Pi over 6 is always 30 degrees. 30 degrees from the x-axis. So we're talking about 30 degrees this way, 30 degrees this way. From this x-axis, we will have 4 separate triangles that have the same 30-degree angle here against the axis. So what we're going to do is represent that 30-degree angle with this purple triangle. So then we also have this 45-degree angle, and that is cutting exactly this quadrant in half. 90 divided by 2 is 45. So then we have, if I have 90 is pi over 2, then half of that would be 45. So then 45 equals pi over 4. If we look around the triangle or around the circle, we have this little blue bow tie. Every one of these triangles formed with the x-axis is 45 degrees away from the axis and makes a matching triangle. And it's this triangle right here. And then finally we have our 60-degree angle, and then 60 degrees is pi over 3. Our 60-degree angle is 60 degrees from our x-axis. So that's going to be right here, and here, and here, and here. So the way it works is all of the angles that are 60 degrees from the x-axis have the same value as this first angle that is 60 degrees from the x-axis. All the angles that are 45 degrees from the x-axis has the same value. They all have the same value as this 45-degree angle. And all of the angles that are 30 degrees from the x-axis has the same values as the 30-degree angle. The only thing we have to account for is where these angles end up, where they land. And what we end up doing is remembering that if we land in the first quadrant, we have positive x and a positive y. If we're in the second quadrant, we went to the left and then up, a negative x and a positive y. If we're in the third quadrant, we have a negative x and a negative y, because we went over and then we went down. And then if we're in the fourth quadrant, we have we have a positive x, we went to the right, and a negative y. The only difference between the value at pi over 3 and the value at 4 pi over 3 is that our x and y will be negative in the third quadrant, and our x and y will be positive in the first quadrant. Otherwise, it's exactly the same numbers. So let's look at how we can figure what those numbers are. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So we're going to say 1, 2, and 3. And then from here, we're going to say 1, 2, and 3. So then this green triangle drops down to the x-axis right here, and it's the first one moving from the center out. It's the first triangle to hit the x-axis, so we put a 1. The 45-degree angle is the second one to hit the x-axis, so we put a 2. And this 30-degree angle is a third triangle to hit the x-axis, so we put a 3. That's the first step. We're going to number 1, 2, 3. Next, we're going to then apply the second rule, and the second rule is that we're going to take that 1, 2, and 3. So we have 1, and here is 3, 2, and 2, 3, and 3. Not 3, sorry, 1. We're going to take this and we're going to divide by 2. So we're going to say 3 over 2 and 1 over 2. 2 over 2 and 2 over 2. And then 3 over 2 and 1 over 2. That's the next step. We're going to divide by 2. This should have a 3 right here, 3 pi over 2. That's the first we count off 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. From the center, we're moving out and we're moving up. That's the first step here, step 1. Having done that, now we're going to divide everything that we wrote out by 2. And then the third step is going to be square root on top. So let's catch up. We have, this is the third one from the ground, and this is the first one from the middle. This is the second one and the second one. This is a third from the middle, and this is the first one from the floor. Okay, they're all divided by 2. And then the last step is we're going to take the square root of the numerator. Square root, square root, ooh. So then we will remember that the square root of 1 is 1. So for the first angle up and the first angle to the right, that square root of 1 is just going to become 1. So our final result is we have, this is 1, 2, square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. Square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. And then the square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. And when we write out our coordinates, we're going to say, we're going to collect the x and the y value. So for our 30-degree angle, which is pi over 6, We're going to say it's the third one over, it's the first one up, they're all over 2 and square root on top. For a 45-degree angle, it's the second one over and the second one up. They're all over 2 and it's square root on top. For this is pi over 4, and then for the pi over 3, we have, it's the first one over, the third one up, they're all over 2 and it's square root on top. That is how we figure out our angles. Let me clean this up and write it here. This is third one over, first one up, they're over 2, square root on top. And here we have the angles for this first quarter of our circle. We do have on the axis, on the x-axis, it is over 1 and up none, so that's going to be 1, 0. And on the y-axis, it's up 1 and over none, so it's 0, 1. The significant thing is that if you know these 5 angles, you know the whole circle. So let's think about this. Did you notice when the angles are reduced that the following pattern is seen? All the values of, this is not orange, this would be purple. All the values of the purple triangles have a denominator of 6. All the values of the blue triangles have a denominator of 4, and all the values of the green triangles have a denominator of 3. Isn't that interesting? All right, so we're going to stop here and I'll see you again later.